Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Daniella, and in this video we'll be taking a dive into why 2024 is going to be a huge decluttering time in my life. In order for you to understand why, I'm going to be doing a 30-day minimalist challenge as well as a no-buy year. I think we should take a step back and I'll explain a little bit more about myself and what's led me to make these decisions for 2024. So to give you a backstory, I have always loved shopping. It was something that my mom and I bonded over when I was young. She was a wedding gown designer and just loved fashion, studied fashion obsessed. And so she would love to shop for herself and for me, and we would go out and basically shop till you drop, like all day long. You're not getting a lunch break. We're shopping till they close. And that's just like what I grew up around. I was always going to the stores with her, and it definitely carried over into my young adult life, loving to shop and being filled with things and getting stuff that's new. I can't remember when I started to do a lot of shopping on my own. I want to say I guess it was high school, but I don't remember it being this like huge thing that was a problem, or I felt was a problem. Maybe because I was still young and like starting to acquire things. But once I found thrifting, I feel like is really where I noticed a huge amount of clothes come into my life. In college, there was a Salvation Army really close by to me, and every Wednesday they had 50% off. So every single Wednesday after class, you could find me at the Salvation Army thrifting, and I wouldn't just buy like, oh, let's buy a shirt, or oh, let's buy a coat. Let's buy a whole shopping cart of clothes. Even all my friends knew that like that's where you would find me on a Wednesday. So I was buying a lot of new clothing, and it was mainly clothing, maybe some house items, little trinkets and stuff. But the majority of my life, shopping has always been for new clothes, and a lot of times things that I don't even wear. Something about thrifting, like a justification I think for why I was buying so much, was because everything is so cheap. So it's like, oh, I can get 10 items for the price of one somewhere else, so I'm going to get 10. And yeah, I mean, that can only last for so long before you have so much, combined with a difficulty letting things go. Whether it's like, oh, but I spent money on this, or oh, it has a sentimental value, holding on to the time in my life when I did enjoy it, or when I did wear it, or I did use it, and who that person was. Also with thrifting, there's like one of everything. And so sometimes you find something and it's so cute and you love it, but maybe it doesn't fit quite right, but I would get it anyways. I would get it anyways and think of how I could fix it, and that usually didn't happen. Or I would wear something that didn't really fit me, and after enough times I realized that like I wasn't going to wear it anymore because it didn't fit right. I would also buy things that weren't really my style, but they were just great pieces, and I felt like I needed to own them in my collection. Almost like my clothes could be a collection of this, like all these great pieces I've found, things that you can't get anymore. And so in more recent years, I've learned to be able to appreciate things that aren't my style and to let them sit on a rack for someone else to buy who will actually actively wear them, rather than just hoard them and hold them on to for themselves. Or I would buy them for this like ideal version of myself, or this specific event or situation that I would wear this in, and then it never came. I think 2020 was the year where I really began this decluttering journey. When I was graduating college, my mom was moving out of our apartment that we've lived in New York for my whole life and moving into my grandma's. She needed me to help her downsize everything. She had so much. That was a huge decluttering point for her and also for myself. But part of it was she would tell me a story about this thing, and then she would get rid of it, and then I would keep it because it was my mom's, and because I wanted it. I didn't want it to just disappear from our lives because it held this like value that it was hers when she was young. During that time, I was gaining even more stuff, even though she was letting go. And the amount of stuff she had was so overwhelming. I saw how overwhelmed she was. I was super overwhelmed. I had no idea how we were going to make it happen. And that feeling has really stuck with me, with just realizing all these material items can be such a burden and a heavy weight on you. In 2020, I decided to move to Asheville, North Carolina, and so I had to go through all my things. And at the time, I had a wardrobe. My parents are divorced, so I had a wardrobe at my dad's house of clothes that were just stayed there, and a wardrobe at my mom's house where I lived, and then I had all my clothes from school. And so I had just stuff spread across so many places that I needed to go through because I was leaving. And if I didn't have it, what was the point of owning it? And so I got rid of some things, but I did wind up leaving others in both locations and taking what meant most to me down to Asheville. Now, when I go back home, it's easier for me to get rid of things because I haven't touched them in so many years at this point. But moving to Asheville was the first little declutter I did, and realization of how much I have accumulated in my 26 years on this planet. When I moved to Asheville, I moved into a house, and this was my first time besides college living, on my own somewhere. And I wound up buying a lot of things for our home, a lot of furniture. I've always loved art and decorations, and so just adorning my walls with stuff. And I think I moved away from buying a lot of clothes and more into buying a lot of home items, and that felt different. That felt like new territory, so it was acceptable. Fast forward to 2022, and my partner and I decided to buy a school bus and renovate it and move into it, which we currently live in. And we travel the US, and we have a lot of travel content on our channel if that's something you're interested in, as well as how we built out the bus and things like that. But anyways, we're moving into a school bus, and there's not much space in a school bus, so that was the biggest decluttering of my life. I needed everything to go. At that point, I was just feeling like my clothes were skeletons in my closet. I had racks set up of clothes in my basement that I really just didn't wear. Things that I had posted on Depop or Poshmark trying to sell. But when you're doing that, you have to still hold on to them for so long. I was also doing a vintage pop-up every Saturday at a local place and bringing all my racks there, my clothes, and selling them. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed interacting with the people who came and seeing the joy that these items were now going to bring them that it once brought me. So I did really enjoy that, but it got to a point where we just needed things gone because we were ready to move into the bus. And at one point, we were just putting things in boxes on the street for people to take because we couldn't get them out of our home quick enough. Now, welcome to 2024. It is January 1st, and this year feels like the year of challenges for me. The first being a 30-day decluttering challenge that I started on the 25th on Christmas, because although I've pared down a lot of the belongings that I have, I know that there's so much more I can and want to let go of, and I'm really ready for that journey. I owe a lot of the inspiration for this video to creators on YouTube who have been doing decluttering videos, as well as, no buy years. And I think in particular, one that really stuck with me was Leah's Field Notes. I decluttered my life in 30 days video. I think that's what it's called. That really inspired me. And so now that's the journey I'm on. What she did in that video was called the MINS game, the minimalist game, where you get rid of one item on day 1, 2 on day 2, all the way up to 30 on day 30, getting rid of a total of 460 some items. I felt so inspired by her video and her take on life and stuff, and just learning the past few years for myself how much I value experiences over material items, and wanting to act on that, and this be like a very conscious, intentional year of consumerism, which is such an easy trap in our society and the way that things run, but I won't get too far into that right now. So yeah, I am doing a 30-day decluttering challenge, and I'll share some more about that in another video. And I'm also doing a no-buy year as of today, and I'll talk more about that in another video as well. But I just wanted to get this out there as an introduction into this journey I'm about to be on and a documentation of it, and also to share with you to hold myself accountable. And if anyone else wants to join in, I would love that. Feel free to write in the comments so we can all do this together. Just welcome you to a year of learning to live with less. Thanks for watching, and I'm excited about this journey. I hope you are too, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again. Bye.